Looks like it's the time. The October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Suffolk Planning Commission will come to order. Just make a comment, this meeting is videotaped and televised for public viewing. We'll now have the invocation. Commissioner Tom Powell.
Thank you, Ms. Let us pray. Lord, we're so grateful for the opportunity to serve our community. Lord, I pray that this meeting today would do nothing but honor you. I pray that each commissioner, each person who presents their situation would speak with clarity and help us to never take for granted the freedoms that we have, the community that you've given us, and the opportunity to love on each other and serve each other. In your name we ask it, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Roll call. Mr. Wine, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Commissioner Creekmore.
Here.
Commissioner Edwards.
Here.
Commissioner Goodman.
Here.
Commissioner Powell.
Here.
Commissioner Thornton Manuel.
Here.
Vice Chairman Hicks.
Here.
And Chairman Staler.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Okay, moving on. The approval of the minutes from the previous meeting were included in the packet. Any corrections or additions? If not so, they will stand approved as presented. This isn't on our agenda, but I've got something I just want to address just because of some things that have happened in the past. This is dealing with kindness, and this is just me. No one here is aware of this, but I went to several of my grandkids' grandparents' day, and the theme of the day was kindness. So thinking about that and some of the things that have happened over the last several months, I just thought I would add this. The planning department staff are citizens, just like all of us, doing their assigned jobs for the city. They are taught to be nice, kind, to all that come seeking permits, need assistance with rezonings, conditional use permits, etc. They follow the tools that they have been given to make recommendations to the Planning Commission and later to City Council. Please remember, they are just doing their jobs, so be kind. Moving on. Hold on one second. We have two public hearings today. Public hearings are for 30 minutes, 10 minutes for the proponents, 15 minutes for the opponents, and 5 minutes for the rebuttal by the proponents. Our first public hearing is rezoning request RZN 2024-00013, conditional, Lake Point. Mr. Wine, will you please read the caption?
Yes, sir. Rezoning request RZN 2024-013, conditional Lake Point, submitted by Matt Howard, applicant and property owner, in accordance with Section 31304 and 31305 of the Unified Development Ordinance to rezone and amend the official zoning map of the City of Suffolk in order to change the zoning from A, Agricultural Zoning District, to RLM, Residential Low Medium Density Conditional Zoning District, for properties located at 494 Manning Road, zoning map 33, parcels 75 and 75A. The affected area is further identified as being located in the Holy Neck voting borough, zoned A, Agricultural Zoning District. The 2045 Comprehensive Plan designates this area as part of the Central Growth Area, Suburban Neighborhood Land Use Type. When you act on this request, you'll be acting on a resolution to present a report and a recommendation to City Council relating to rezoning request RZN 2024-013 conditional. Staff Planner Brittany Collier will present staff's report.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. As stated, this is a request to rezone the subject parcels from Agricultural Zoning District to RLM, Residential Low Medium Density Conditional Zoning District, for the purpose of constructing a maximum of 300 single-family detached dwelling units. The property up for discussion is located within the Central Growth Area and is designated as the Suburban Land Use Type in the Suffolk 2045 Comprehensive Plan. Sorry, you should have. been able to see that. To the north of the property is the Spates Run Reservoir zoned conservation. To the south are single-family detached homes, fields, and forested lands zoned agricultural. To the east is Lake Spate Colony neighborhood zoned RLM, and to the west is the Springfield neighborhood zoned RLM. The applicant proposes to rezone approximately 113 acres of property located at 494 Manning Road, consisting of tax parcels 33*75 and 33*75A, from the existing agricultural zoning district to RLM conditional, for the purpose of developing a maximum of 300 single-family detached dwelling units. A conceptual plan has been provided and not proffered in support of this application, and the conceptual plan demonstrates that the proposed residential development will take access from 2 points along Manning Road, one which will be directly in line with the entry point of the Springfield subdivision. Currently, there is no established legal access across the railroad right-of-way, tax parcel 38*X. Therefore, the applicant has voluntarily proffered that prior to utilizing the southern portion for open space that will serve the development, they must obtain legal access to cross the railroad right-of-way. As proffered by the applicant, the proposed density would equate to a density of 2.9 units per acre, which is the maximum density allowed within the RLM zoning district. Each phase of the development will be required to meet all applicable development regulations for residential subdivisions, to include maximum permissible residential density in the minimum required open space regulations. A wetlands delineation conducted found non-tidal wetlands to be located on the subject parcel, occupying approximately 8.5 acres of the site, thereby reducing the amount of developable acreage of the property, which impacts the potential number of units that could be realized on the site. Specifically, the net developable acreage of the site measures 105.19 acres, which, if rezoned to RLM, would allow for a unit yield of 300 total units, which aligns with the maximum number of units that could be developed as proffered by the developer. As previously stated, the 2045 comprehensive plan designates the subject parcels as suburban land use type. Applicable zoning districts include residential low density, low medium density, and residential low density. Additionally, the target density range is 0.5 to 4 dwelling units per acre. As proposed on the conceptual layout and proffered, the 300 units would yield a density of 2.9 dwelling units per acre, which would align with the recommended density outlined in the comprehensive plan for suburban land use type. Additionally, the RLM zoning district allows for a max density of 2.9 dwelling units per acre. Therefore, the proposed density also aligns with the proposed zoning district as well. The comprehensive plan sets specific themes and policies related to land use, transportation, open space, and the environment that should be considered when contemplating a rezoning application. Relevant to this application are the following. Action L1.1, which speaks to focusing development in designated growth areas that is consistent with future land use map. Action L2.4, which speaks to ensuring that a cluster development provisions allow for more community open space, each of which has been detailed and outlined in staff's report. In accordance with our adequate public facilities standards, no rezoning request should be approved which would cause a reduction in the levels of service for any public facility impacted. With regards to sewer and water, the Department of Public Utility has stated that water and sewer are to be served through the existing water and sewer force mains. However, water will also be looped to the Lake Spate Colony subdivision to the east. Public Utilities has agreed to coordinate with the developer on modeling the water and sewer system improvements at the time of development plan review. With regards to transportation, the Department of Public Works Traffic Engineering has reviewed the submitted traffic memorandum and associated voluntary proffers and have found them to be acceptable. In regards to schools, the parcels included in this request are currently assigned to Lakeland High School, Forest Glen Middle, and Kilby Shores Elementary School. As parcels to be rezoned are zoned agricultural, it is assumed that the property could yield a maximum of 3 cuts and a residue, therefore 4 single-family dwelling units by right. As such, a credit of 1 student at each level would be applied. After subtracting out the students that may be generated by a by right development, the net impacts of this rezoning would generate 38 high school students, 29 middle school students, and 53 elementary school students. When considering the applied credit for by right development and committed development that will be served by the same schools serving the subject parcels, there is sufficient capacity at the high school and middle school levels and a deficient capacity at the elementary school level. The current capital improvements plan in effect at the time of this application identifies capital projects that would provide additional system-wide capacity that would work to relieve overcrowded schools citywide. The applicant has voluntarily proffered a cash contribution in order to mitigate for impacts to the elementary school level. The applicant has voluntarily proffered 7 conditions in support of this application, which are provided in detail on this slide. The first proffer pertains to the school contributions in order to mitigate for impacts to the schools. The second proffer limits the development to no more than 300 single-family detached dwelling units. Proffers 3, 5, and 6 pertain to the required building design and materials. Proffer 4 pertains to traffic improvements, which are outlined in the transportation section of staff's report. And lastly, Proffer 7 states that prior to utilizing the portion bisected by the abandoned Norfolk Southern Railroad line as open space for the proposed subdivision, that the developer property owner must verify rights to legally cross the Norfolk Southern Railroad right-of-way. Prior to verification, it is understood that only property north of the railroad shall be leveraged to meet minimum requirements outlined in the Unified Development Ordinance for subdivisions. The regulations of note include, but not limited to, minimum open space and maximum density requirements. The developer acknowledges that the first phase of the development must individually adhere to the requirements outlined within the UDO, and subsequent phases shall meet all requirements when considered cumulatively. In summary, staff finds this proposal rezoning request RZN 2024-013 conditional meets the intent and the provisions of the 2045 Comprehensive Plan and the Unified Development Ordinance. The proposed rezoning of the subject parcels from Agricultural Zoning District to RLM Residential Low Medium Density Conditional Zoning District aligns with the goals and objectives established within the Comprehensive Plan and Unified Development Ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends approval with conditions of rezoning request RZN 2024-013. I'll stand by for any questions following the public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Collier. We will now open the public hearing. Public hearings are for 30 minutes, 10 minutes for the proponents, 15 minutes for the opponents, and 5 minutes for the rebuttal by the proponents. Who would like to come forward and speak in favor of this item? Please state your name and address, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, and members of the Planning Commission and city staff. My name is Grady Palmer. I'm an attorney based in Virginia Beach. My office address is 222 Central Park Avenue. I want to thank you for the time to be here today. I want to thank staff for their diligent review. I think, Mr. Chairman, your comments are well made, that staff works really hard, and I think that really should be appreciated regularly. And so a couple of things I want to talk about today. One is your comp plan that you adopted in December of last year. One of the major goals of the comprehensive plan, and I think that's been discussed here at the commission, is that it injected, or the intent was to inject, predictability of future land uses. And so you switched from a sort of character district in your 2035 comprehensive plan, and you switched to more of a land use map. And so properties are identified by color coding. They're anticipated to go residential, industrial, employment center, commercial. And I think that's what, in part, what the comprehensive plan was trying to do, was to instill some predictability in future land uses. And so when people look at the comprehensive plan, they can see that this property is identified for residential. Okay, so that's what's to be expected. That is exactly the case here. It's identified for single-family neighborhood on the land use map plan, and that's what's being presented. As you heard Brittany talk about, it's adjacent to 2 established neighborhoods. So this, I think, is a good case scenario for the comprehensive plan that you adopted, instilling some predictability in land uses. And I think that's just important for us to talk about today, is that there is a good comprehensive plan. I mean, you spent a lot of time, a lot of effort in developing that plan, and I just think that should be recognized, that this project is a predictable result of looking at and reviewing the city's comprehensive plan. Now, one other thing that I think is important to discuss in terms of predictability is 58 Holland in this corridor has become a major employment center and will continue to become a major employment center. And Suffolk has seen in the Center Point area alone, by my calculation, about 7.5 million square feet of employment center. That's Amazon, Lowe's, MSI, Target distribution, et cetera. And that translates to about 9,000 jobs just in the Center Point area. Another interesting bit of information that comes out of your comprehensive plan is this, I don't know what page it is, but I've got a copy of it, but it's an inflow, outflow, and it's discussing in the context of economic existing conditions. And I found it very interesting. So it says, according to on the map, which is a statistics run by the federal government, less than 10,000 residents, Suffolk residents, live and work in Suffolk. 3 times that number of residents leave Suffolk for employment. Nearly 21,000 jobs in the city are filled by non-residents. So it's got a map that shows 20,000 leaving for work that live in Suffolk, arriving in Suffolk from out of Suffolk to work, and 31,000 that live in Suffolk, leaving the city in the morning to find work in Virginia Beach and Isle of Wight and other places. But I think this is one of the other important factors of the comprehensive plan, that it's attempting to rebalance that inflow and outflow. I mean, one of the major components of the comprehensive plan, in my view, is encouraging or offering the opportunity of living in Suffolk and working in Suffolk. And that's not just Suffolk. Most of the other cities in Hampton Roads are trying to encourage that. I know we do that in Virginia Beach and Chesapeake, very much of an emphasis that trying to encourage living where you work, or at least offering the opportunities to do that. And I think this comprehensive plan does a great job in trying to rebalance the employment basis in Suffolk and giving people the opportunity to live where they work. Now, one of the other things I want to mention here is we've seen a lot of, I know you have been living with a lot of improvements on Holland 58 for a long time. We're coming to the conclusion of that. One of the major improvements is happening at Manning Road intersection with Holland Road. There are new turn lanes, there's traffic signalization that has been moved, so that will function as our main entrance and exit to Holland Road. And so that is a major safety improvement, major efficiency improvement. We think this is the right time, given all these factors, to rezone the property. I want the audience to understand, overall, this project, if it's approved next month or the month after, depending on how those things shake out, it will take us at least 5 to 7 years to completely build out this project. So it's a big project. It's slated for 300 maximum. Probably realistically, when we get in there, is probably 275, but we wanted to proffer a maximum just so everybody knew what the ballpark that we were operating in. But that's a critical component to understand, that these projects just don't come online in the next year. Projects like this take many years to build out and to sell, and so there will be a period of time that the project will come online, so it will be a gradual coming online over many, many years. So I want to talk just briefly about the proffers. There is a full cash proffer for the elementary school. That's nearly $2 million, $1.9 million that the developer is offering to advance capacity. There is a proffer for quality materials. You heard this will be a cluster. There are design standards in your UDO that even heighten the design quality of this project. Now, one of the big proffers in this package is the entrance at Springfield. As you heard, our entrance will line up with the entrance at Springfield, and in your package there's a picture that shows what the improvement project will be. So right now there's 2 lanes of traffic. So what the developer has committed to do is to install turn lanes for Springfield, turn lanes for the project, and a center free flow of traffic down Manning Road. So there will be no stoppage for turns into Springfield, turns into this project. Everybody will have their own turn lane, and you can see that image in your picture, and that is about $350,000 improvement that we think should be made. I mean, we know the challenges of Manning Road. And so we're committed to making what we believe to be a very significant widening project for Springfield, for this project, and for the traveling public up and down Manning Road, that no one has to stop if they're going to continue to travel Manning Road for traffic turning into this project or the traffic turning into Springfield in both directions. So that's, I think, a major element of this project. This will be completed in phase one of the project. It's not one of those proffers that we delay to the end. We will do this up front. And I want to talk just briefly about the railroad crossing, the proffer. That's a little bit of an unusual situation, but we do have an abandoned Norfolk Southern rail that you see there on the right side of the screen. I think that line has been abandoned about 20 years, as best I can tell. Norfolk Southern thinks there may have been a crossing agreement, can't find it, so we're working on a new agreement with Norfolk Southern for a crossing of that Norfolk Southern line. We believe they do want to hang on to it. We've asked if we could buy it, but we've been told that they want to hang on to it. We believe that they are looking at that as a potential rail-to-trail opportunity for them, which would be a great amenity for this project. But nevertheless, we're working on an agreement with Norfolk Southern right now to cross that. But that proffer was added as a compliance requirement, that the developer has to comply with all the requirements of the UDO, and that was to reinforce that all those requirements must be met. Phase one will be a standalone requirement, and then once we get the crossing agreement in place, then that area can be used for compliance with the UDO. So I just don't want any misunderstanding about that. One other thing I'll mention here. You heard it in Brittany's explanation. This project will loop into the community to the right, or to the south, I guess it's right there. There's a dead-end water stub there. They are on a sort of a one-way in, one-way out, for utility purposes. This will allow for looping through this community, and that will not only benefit this community, but as well as surrounding communities. When they create that loop, water pressures improve, firefighting pressures improve. So that's a detail, but I just wanted to mention that that's something significant, that I believe is significant, that will allow multiple routes for water to serve these communities, and this project is delivering that. And so with that, I want to ask for your approval today, and I will be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. We bat out. What we got? We're out of time, so we'll move on and ask for anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this matter. Does anyone would like to speak in opposition? If you would, please, sir, please state your name and your address.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Rick DeLugo. I reside at 122 Springfield Terrace in the Springfield subdivision on Manning Road. The parcel of land up for discussion today, formerly discussed as Ellis Farms and now up for rezoning as Lake Point, is directly across from our Springfield neighborhood. The Lake Point property is in the Kilby Shores Elementary, Forest Glen Middle, and Lakeland High School districts. Although the high school at this point has room for any additional students, there are serious concerns about the facility conditions and the overcrowding at Kilby Shores Elementary and at Forest Glen Middle School, and the impact that the proposed Lake Point project will have on the education and well-being of the young residents that attend those schools. Kilby Shores is currently above capacity at 112.8%. 8 mobile classrooms are used because of the facility overflow at this school, and Forest Glen uses 5. As a retired educator with 34 years of experience, I can tell you the struggles of teaching in a portable classroom. Very little counter space, no sink or running water, no restrooms readily available without taking a trek into the main building, and small windows all add to this struggle. Where there is heightened but first and foremost, school safety should be considered. Where there is heightened security in the main building with locked doors and security personnel, these portable classrooms are vulnerable with only a locked door to stop intruders. But teachers persevere and do their job. Addressing school conditions, the city uses a facility condition index known as the FCI to determine whether it's economically feasible to maintain or replace a facility. According to the February 2021 Joint City Council and School Board presentation, both Kilby Shores Elementary and Forest Glen Middle are two of the 5 schools within the district with the lowest possible rating of poor. Forest Glen Middle appeared in the CIP Capital Improvement Plan starting in 2011, and Kilby Shores Elementary followed in 2012 and were listed as needing an addition as well as significant renovations, including HVAC replacement, electrical and utility system upgrades, and a need to bring the schools up to ADA compliance. By 2018, having never been updated, both schools were shifted from needing significant improvements to full replacement. Each successive year, the city has postponed these needed improvements. Instead, the city moved these schools to a non-specified 6 to 10-year plan. The developer is not offering enough cash proffers for this project to increase the capacity that represents a true impact this development will have on both schools. When the project first came before you, the Planning Commission, back in 2022 as Ellis Farm, the city was not instructing developers on how to minimize the development's impact on capacity, and he was proffering $1.9 million for the elementary school, as well as $1.2 million for the middle school. When he submitted his new Lake Point project, the proffers were still there for both the elementary school and the middle school. He has since taken away his proffer for the middle school. Thus, the city is losing $1.2 million for the needed middle school. Additionally, the replacement of these 2 schools have no project dates established. Until the city completes these facility improvements for replacement so these schools can adequately handle the added students, I ask the Planning Commission to vote not to recommend approval for the Lake Point project. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Mr. DeLugio. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? If you would, please give us your name and your address.
Good afternoon, commissioners and city staff. My name is Michelle Falk, and for 46 years, I have lived at 1104 Manning Road, right down the street. I'm also a member of Care for Suffolk. There are many concerns that we have, not only Care for Suffolk, but the neighbors on Manning Road with the Lake Point development. However, I won't go through them all because after 3+ years of this being on the zoning request, I think most of us can recite it in our sleep. So what I see a difference here, and the gentleman did mention this along with Rick, but what I see with the difference in this rezoning request is, one, there's going to be 4 lanes, which he mentioned, entrance in and out of the development. And of course, 2, they're no longer proffering for the middle school. And we definitely strongly need that for the middle schools. Also, what I don't see in the reduction is the reduction of the proposed 300 homes. Why is that? Why hasn't the reduction been drawn down with so much going on with the infrastructure, the schools, and what have you? So there are 76 homes in the Springfield development. So why not zone this development for 76 homes, thus giving those potential home buyers a big, beautiful green space in, where is it? Rural Suffolk. The traffic is going to increase. I don't care if you have 10 lanes turning inside and out. That traffic on Manning Road is going to increase. I don't know, I know several of you have driven down Manning Road, and it's a mess. We're also concerned about the existing farmers. What are they going to do with all this traffic? The gentleman also mentioned, I believe, 5 to 7 years to complete. That's a lot of traffic. Please, when making your decision, please keep in mind the dangers that I just spoke about. The road will continue to be a problem in the city if this zoning is allowed. I do have some petitions here that I will place in the basket. And I do thank you for listening to us, for the Care for Suffolk. We have been around for several years, and we want to thank several of you all that we've met with that attended our meeting. So we do appreciate that. We do, and we appreciate you all listening to us this afternoon. So you all have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Falk. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition to this project? Just to let you know, on the way up, you've got a little over about 6.5 minutes left, so please give us your name and your address, please, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Diana Klink, and I reside at 133 Winterview Drive in the Springfield neighborhood. While we have lived in this neighborhood for 2 years, we lived 8 miles further down Manning Road for 35 years. It was my privilege and honor to work for the wonderful city of Suffolk for over 24 years before retiring, and I have always been proud to call Suffolk home. As a department head, I have attended literally hundreds of city council meetings, public hearings, and I fully understand the importance of smart growth and that new rooftops bring new retail and so much more to our community. I am not here as anti-development, but instead to implore you to please consider the tremendous impact that the huge proposed Lake Point neighborhood would have on our roadways, our schools, our safety, and our environment. The Springfield neighborhood, and some of these things you've already heard, but certainly bear repeating. The Springfield neighborhood consists of 76 houses on approximately 70 acres. This proposed new development on the former Ellis Farm, which was 113 acres, would consist of 300 houses squeezed onto almost the same amount of acreage as the Springfield community, once you consider the designated open space and stormwater management land as detailed on the proposed site plan. Yards would be the size of postage stamps and houses separated by mere feet. The developer stated that people prefer not to have large yards and prefer compact living. I beg to differ. At this point, it is unknown who the builder will even be. The developer has stated that the traffic study shows no problem on Manning Road. I would guess not, since the actual study took place on Grove Avenue, located across Route 58 Holland Road within the Oak Ridge neighborhood, and now more than 6 lanes of traffic. That neighborhood is completely built out and with no new construction planned. Manning Road is a highly traveled 2-lane roadway with ditches on both sides, no shoulders, many twists and turns, and no planned city improvements. Community members have voiced concerns about the road's safety, noting numerous accidents, including several fatal accidents in recent years. On almost a weekly basis, traffic is impacted by overturned tractor trailers illegally trying to use the roadway as a shortcut from Manning Bridge Road. And speaking of tractor trailers, the developer also indicated that no 18-wheelers would be used during the construction. I don't understand how you can build the necessary infrastructure and 300 homes without tractor trailers delivering materials. This is of special concern because the proposed entrance to the neighborhood sits directly across the street from the sole entrance to the Springfield neighborhood. This is a public safety nightmare where 76 residences could potentially be cut off from police, fire, and emergency responders due to no access when the inevitable accidents occur at the entrance to that neighborhood. This is not safe growth. Kilby Shores Elementary is overcrowded and is expected to become more so with numerous new housing developments. The school is already at capacity, as you've heard, not counting the tremendous impact another 300 single-family homes would have on the school. This is not smart growth. Runoff from 300 homes will pollute the Spates Run Reservoir. This is not ecologically sound growth. Please take all of these vital issues into consideration before making a final decision. At a minimum, it would make sense to reduce by at least half the scale of this enormous project, to conduct an accurate traffic study, and to relocate the entrance to the proposed development. Again, I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Klink. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition? Have a couple of minutes left. Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to this project? Seeing none, now the time is for rebuttal. You now have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've had a lot of discussions about the schools recently with the VDOT project, and you know, Suffolk is a growing community, and in growing communities, there are challenges with schools. We've been through it in Chesapeake for the last 25 years. You're where Chesapeake was 15, 20 years ago. That's a good thing, because I tell you what, when you look at Norfolk's closing schools, and that's a worse place to be in than if you're having to deal with overcrowding issues. So keep in mind, Suffolk is in a great spot. And seeing quality growth like this is a good thing. Please don't take it for granted, because it can pass you by, and in 10 years, you could be where Norfolk is. So just keep that in mind, that growth is good. Not all growth is good, but planned growth is good. And that's why I keep tying this back to your comprehensive plan. If it's not in keeping with your comprehensive plan, you shouldn't approve it. But when it is consistent with your comprehensive plan, complies with your UDO, you should approve it. That's why you spent 2 years planning for the city, is exactly this project. Not just for this project, but when a project comes along that does exactly what is intended and expected by the comprehensive plan, then you should recommend approval of that. And look, we did our traffic impact analysis. It's been reviewed and accepted by the city. What it did was it modeled, because the traffic signal was moving from Grove to Manning, it modeled what was at Grove and replicated the modeling for the new intersection at Manning and 58. That's all it did. It didn't study the wrong street. It just modeled based on the traffic at the former signal and compared that and analyzed that at the new signal at Manning Road. So that's all that was. It's certainly not the staff didn't miss anything. That's good transportation planning right there. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions that you have. I will note that Lake Spate and Springfield, I believe, are both zoned the same as the proposal. So and certainly compatible. This is obviously a bigger project than those, but it's certainly single-family residential. Both Lake Spate and Springfield are quality projects. This is going to be a quality project as well. It will be completely compatible in my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this project? Have a few minutes left. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor, in rebuttal? If not, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, questions, comments, or motion is in order. Any questions? Comments?
Yeah, I might like to make a recommendation for approval with conditions of rezoning request, RZN 2024-013.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I include.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or any comments?
Yes,
Look to the
Commissioner.
commissioners. Go ahead.
Yes, Commissioner. I have a couple of questions. If the developer is here, all right, could you come up to the podium, please? Thank you.
Mr. Arnett, I know you, but please give your name and your address if you would, please.
Yes.
All right, yes, sir. I think, we spoke and we met at the site.
Yes.
And I'm back to the same question again. You proposing to build the max of 300 homes, right?
Yes, but we anticipate it to be about 75. But we still have to do our engineering. It won't be any more than 300, but like I said, we're indicating about 275, 280.
275 and 280. Are you aware of the other subdivisions that's being built around that area?
Yes, we have everything around us that adjoins us. Springfield and Lake Spade are zoned the same thing we are, RLM. And then if you go across the reservoir, there's probably, heading to 58 in Turlington, there's probably 7 subdivisions. They're all zoned RLM. There's really 3 subdivisions that attach to us that are zoned RLM. 2 are existing. One is Turlington Woods, which was rezoned about a year ago. So, I feel it's an infill project. We've got RLM all around us. That's what the UDO and comp plan, recommends. And I think that's what we're planning to do.
All right. Are there any other road improvements?
Yeah, what we're doing is this. I think by our traffic analysis, we didn't have to do turning lanes to Springfield, but when we looked at it, obviously, Springfield was built before the UDO, and it had no turning lanes. And we went ahead and said we would take all the right-of-way on our property, keep Springfield's road as it is now a turning lane. So Springfield, we're not taking any right-of-way on that side of the road. So we'll have a right in and a left in at Springfield, right in, left in at our entranceway.
All right. The speed limit between 58, turning off of 58 onto Manning Road, all the way up to your development, is that 25 miles per hour or 40 miles per hour?
No, it comes, if you turn on off of 58, I think it's 25 miles an hour up to, I think it's the Rueton Club, right before you get to the causeway. And from the causeway to our property is, going further down Manning Road, is 40 miles an hour.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Arnett, you might kind of hang loose just in case. Anyone, any other commissioner have any question for Mr. Arnett? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I've got some that I'm going to say. Obviously, I had some to say when this came up for us before. Manning Road will be developed over the coming years, whether this is approved or denied. The design shown is somewhat unique and interesting, I must admit, with the way they've circled the holding ponds. That said, Manning Road is a dangerous road, and Springfield should most likely not have been allowed to be built based on the conditions of Manning Road. Adding an additional 2,772 automobile trips and additional school bus trips on this road is not smart or safe for the existing citizens. Very little road improvement is provided, and the road from Holland Road to this site is already dangerous at any speed. The near future does not look good for the road to be improved, including the part over the spillway from Lake Spade. Obviously, Lake Spade is owned by Portsmouth. Who really knows when the school situation will be addressed? Surely not probably in this coming up CIP. For these reasons and others, I just cannot support this because of traffic and safety. That being said, anyone else have any comments?
I do. I feel like I owe it to the developer who's worked hard on their application if I'm not in favor of something to say why. A lot of what the chairman has said. I grew up, I've lived in Suffolk my whole life and drive Manning Road a lot. Actually been in an accident on Manning Road. And I'm also a runner. I've braved it to run on Manning Road one time, which is a terrible idea. Don't recommend it to anyone. But also recently got a copy of the pipeline development of what's been approved already in the city. And just doing a little quick math here, like we have for districts or zoned for Kilby Shores in the pipeline not started to be developed, a total of 666 units still to be built. 431 of those are single-family homes. I just think the infrastructure is not quite there yet, so that's all I have.
Commissioners, any further comments? We have a motion on the floor and a second for approval of this item. Call for the vote. Mr. Wynn?
Commissioners, please vote. It's not coming up. Mr. Chairman, I think we will have to voice vote.
Okay, we'll have to have a voice vote. We need to call the roll for the vote. Yes. Okay, Mr. Wine, if you'll call the vote. And I might comment, a vote yes is for approval.
Commissioner Bauer?
Sorry, no.
Commissioner Creekmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes.
Commissioner Goodman?
Yes.
Commissioner Powell?
Yes.
Commissioner Thornton Manuel?
No.
Vice Chairman Hicks? Yes. And Chairman Staler?
No.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passes by a vote of 5-3.
Okay, the motion has carried by a vote of 5-3. It will go to City Council on November the 19th, 25, with the Planning Commission recommendation for approval. Moving on. The next item on our agenda is rezoning request RZN 2025-0007, conditional, Bennett's Creek Health and Rehab Center. Mr. Wine, will you please read the information?
Yes, sir. Rezoning request RZN 2025-007, conditional, Bennett's Creek Health and Rehab Center, submitted by Benjamin Volp, Bennett's Creek RE Group LLC, applicant on behalf of ATM LC, and Seth C. Somerville, trustee of the Bernadine Teague Trust, property owners in accordance with Section 30304 and 31305 of the Unified Development Ordinance to grant and amend the official zoning map of the City of Suffolk to amend the previously approved proffers for property located at 1931 Bridge Road, zoning map 4G, parcel T*3, and to change the zoning from RR, Rural Residential Zoning District, to O&I, Office Institutional Conditional Zoning District, for property located at 1975 Bridge Road, zoning map 5, parcel 13C. The affected area is further identified as being located in the Chuckatuck voting borough, zoned O&I, conditional, and RR, Rural Residential Zoning District. The 2045 comprehensive plan designates this area as part of the northern growth area commercial corridor land use type. When you act on this request, you'll be acting on a resolution to present a report and a recommendation to City Council relating to rezoning request RZN 2025-007 conditional. Staff Planner Shannon Wolf will present staff's report.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. As stated, this request is to amend the previously approved proffers for property located at 1931 Bridge Road, tax map 4G*T*3, and to change the zoning from RR Rural Residential Zoning District to OI Office Institutional Conditional Zoning District for property located at 1975 Bridge Road, tax map number 5*13C. Both properties are located within the Special Corridor Overlay District, located within the Northern Growth Area and designated as Commercial Corridor Land Use Type in the Suffolk 2045 Comprehensive Plan. To the north of the property is St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church and single-family detached homes zoned RR, Rural Residential Density Zoning District, and Vintage Tavern Restaurant, Zone B1, Neighborhood Commercial Zoning District. To the south are single-family detached homes zoned RL, Residential Low Zoning District, and a fishing retail store zoned B2, Commercial Zoning District. To the east are single-family detached homes zoned RR, Rural Residential Density. And to the west are single-family detached homes zoned RL, Residential Low Density Zoning District. The applicant proposes to conditionally rezone 5 acres, tax map 5*13C, of existing RR Rural Residential Zoning District property to OI Office Institutional Conditional Zoning District. Additionally, the applicant proposes to amend the proffers associated with tax parcel 4G*T*3, consisting of 4.4 acres zoned OI Office Institutional Conditional for the establishment of a medical, nursing facility, or nursing home use by right. Tax parcel 4G*T*3 was rezoned to OI in 2003 and has remained vacant. The shown conceptual plan has been provided as a part of this application. However, it is not being proffered and is subject to change. The development will also be required to comply with Articles 4 and 6 of the Unified Development Ordinance. As shown, the proposed facility will take access from Bridge Road, and the applicant proposes some traffic-related improvements as part of the proffered traffic impact assessment. These are the elevations that were provided as part of the application, and although they are not proffered, the applicant has proffered some design features that are consistent with the elevations as shown. The applicant has voluntarily proffered to remove all previously approved proffers from RZN 2003-12 and to limit future development of the subject property. As shown on Exhibit B, as proffered and listed under proffer number 2, both parcels would only be used for a medical, nursing facility, or nursing home use. All other OI uses would be excluded from potential development on this site. Proffer number 3 states, the final site design shall incorporate recommended roadway improvements as identified in the traffic impact assessment prepared by Stantec Consulting dated July 31st, 2025. Lastly, proffer number 4 states, the applicant has proffered the proposed facility shall incorporate architectural features consistent with the colonial Williamsburg style to include specific building materials, lighting, and landscaping beyond what is required. In summary, the proposed amendment of proffers for tax map 4G*T*3 and the rezoning of tax map 5-star 13C from RR Rural Residential Zoning District to OI Office Institutional Conditional Zoning District is consistent with the policies of the 2045 Comprehensive Plan. Specifically, the proposal aligns with the goals and objectives established within the Comprehensive Plan and the Unified Development Ordinance, as the proposed institutional use more closely aligns with land use objectives outlined with the 2045 Comprehensive Plan. Therefore, staff recommends approval of RZN 2025-007 with conditions. This concludes my presentation. I will stand by for any questions after the public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. We will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak in favor of the item? I might comment once again, 30 minutes, 15 minutes for opponents, 10 minutes for the proponents, 15 minutes for opponents, and 5-minute rebuttal. Can I have your name and address, please, sir?
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Thank you for your time and consideration of this rezoning request. My name is Jeff Serto. I'm the architect for the project. My office address is 401 Front Street, Berea, Ohio. With me today are project engineers Bryant Mountjoy and Matthew Hogan from Stantec Consulting, who will follow me with some site-specific comments. Also present today are Leanne Hayes, Gary Salyers, and David Vivoda, administrators from Sabre Healthcare Facilities in this region, reflecting Sabre's commitment to Suffolk and providing high-quality care across Virginia. Sabre Healthcare Group was established in 2001. They operate more than 140 nursing and assisted living facilities across 6 states. They are the largest skilled nursing home operator in Virginia, caring for more than 3,600 residents with 4,000 employees. Here in Virginia, Sabre operates 14 centers, including Oak Grove, Rosemont, and Kempsville Health and Rehabilitation. In each of those communities, Sabre has invested in facilities, partnered with local organizations, and delivered consistent quality care, the same commitment they now bring to Bennett's Creek. So why this location? Suffolk is projected to grow nearly 9% between 2020 and 2030, with its 65 and older population increasing by more than 32%, nearly 4,800 new residents in need of the services that can be provided at Bennett's Creek. The Virginia Department of Health has already issued a certificate of public need for this facility. City planning staff have shown support for the rezoning, recognizing that the site is within the northern growth area and designated as a commercial corridor in the comprehensive plan. This project brings together 1931 Bridge Road, already zoned office institutional, and 1975 Bridge Road, currently rural residential. Rezoning 1975 to OI allows the parcels to be consolidated for this project. Sabre has also proffered that the land will not be developed for any other purpose. Without this proffer, these parcels could otherwise be developed with OI uses such as hotels, motels, or commercial retail. Uses not consistent with the residential character of this corridor. Sabre has already engaged directly with the Suffolk Peninsula Community Partnership, led by Colonel L. Will. Through that dialogue, questions were answered and concerns alleviated. Colonel Will noted that the project retains the character of the peninsula that residents value, and that it is consistent with the Suffolk 2045 development principles. This demonstrates Sabre's commitment to being a responsible partner in Suffolk from the very beginning of the project. As the architect, I want to stress the design approach we've taken to respect the context of the corridor. Although the building is large in area, it has been shaped to appear at a residential scale and character. The design draws on colonial Williamsburg tradition. Facades are broken into smaller gabled elements, windows follow a residential rhythm, and materials such as brick, siding, and trim reflect local precedent. Where possible, tree lines are preserved, new landscaping buffers soften the profile from neighboring properties, and site lighting is shielded so it doesn't affect nearby homes. Together, these measures ensure the facility serves modern healthcare needs while blending naturally into the community. The project will also provide meaningful benefits to Suffolk. It will create 112 full-time jobs, generating new tax revenue for the city. Most importantly, it will expand local access to modern skilled care in private rooms, the type of care residents strongly prefer that reflects today's best practices. In summary, this project aligns with Suffolk's comprehensive plan, supports the Suffolk 2045 principles, and is designed to complement the residential character of the community. For these reasons, we respectfully request your approval of the rezoning. Brian? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please give us your name and address, please, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Bryant Mountjoy. I'm a project manager representing Stantec Consulting, who's done quite a bit of preliminary engineering on this project. Our office is located out of Ashland, Virginia, 10988 Richardson Road. So echoing what Jeff had said, I'm here to talk a little bit more about the details of what has been done to date on this site and what makes it appropriate for this facility. One, as Jeff mentioned, this is the existing property to the north is already zoned office institutional, so this continues that precedent of being an appropriate use in the northern growth area and commercial corridor, which is more appropriate than the current zoning of rural residential to match the Suffolk 2045. To date, there have been several due diligence activities completed by Sabre Health to help support the feasibility of this project, including environmental assessments, geotechnical assessments, preliminary stormwater investigations, and traffic studies, all of which have been identified as no major hurdles. There are things that can be overcome to develop the site. I know there were several concerns raised about traffic through discussions with the community and through the public comments that were received on this, which I will touch on a little bit later. We are also aware of some constraints of the site related to resource protection areas, FEMA flood zones, and the Special Corridor Overlay District, all of which have been considered, and Sabre Health is prepared to comply with each of those. We are aware of the neighboring communities and the importance that these properties be developed in accordance with those, in support with those communities, reflecting their character. And to that effect, Sabre Healthcare has met with the Suffolk Peninsula Community Partnership, some letters of which I will put in the basket here. Letters of support were issued for this project, as Jeff had alluded to. So back to the traffic discussion. A traffic study was conducted as part of this rezoning application. As a result of that, it was identified there would be relatively minimal increases in traffic. About 400 total trips per day were estimated, which represents a less than 2% increase in traffic across this section of Bridge Road, and an additional approximately 1 second of delays at the studied intersections. To alleviate some of the traffic concerns, there are proffered conditions related to roadway improvements, which Shannon had mentioned. Specifically, those are to extend the existing northbound left turn bay near the St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, adding a southbound right turn bay to access the site, adding a southbound left turn bay for vehicles leaving the site, and the median will not be opened across the property due to the existing spacing being too tight between the existing median cuts, which was a condition of the city. So in summary, there's been a significant amount of work conducted so far. Sabre Healthcare believes this to be a feasible location, appropriate location for this development, is committed to working with the community to develop it appropriately. And that's why we believe this is an appropriate rezoning and you should recommend approval. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments? In favor, please give us your name and address, please. Got a little over a minute and a half left.
Minute and a half. I'll keep this very short. Thank you, Chairman and Planning Commission. My name is Matt Hogan. I'm also with Stantec. There's been a lot of thought and consideration put into this project by the Sabre team. When I came down here today, I'm from Loudoun County. I've seen a lot of change up in that neck of the woods, but I'm a lifelong Virginian. And when I come down here, this place kind of really feels like home. Right when I got here, I was impressed. I wanted to walk the site, and I did. And I think that the Governor's Point community is beautiful. So beautiful, when I was walking around, I happened to run into a real estate agent, and I started talking prices with him, and I said, "This is a really nice neighborhood. I want to get down here." I think that this development is right for the community. I think it's going to fit in aesthetically, and when you consider the alternatives when it comes to traffic, be careful of the opportunity costs or the other side of this, and what office could look like, or light retail could look like. It could generate a lot more traffic than a nursing home healthcare facility. And lastly, I have 8 seconds left. The tenants, or the people that are in the nursing home, they will not be driving. They will be there, and they will not be out on the road. So it would just be the staff of the facility. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That concludes the portion of the program in favor. We will now take anyone that would like to speak in opposition. Please come forward and give us your name and address, please. Anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this project. And you'll have 15 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Gregory Kenneth Mathieson. I'm a recently retired 30-year Navy Master Chief. Decided to stay in Virginia because of the community of Cedar Point and the families that we became so closely with and built a house there. Cedar Point is the community across the street from the development that they're looking to build. I do not represent Cedar Point Association. I do represent several families that do live there in our opposition of this of this rezoning for the Bennett Creek Health and Rehab Center located on Bridge Road. While we support responsible health care, I did work 30 years in Navy medicine, and I am a healthcare administrator. We think this proposal is incompatible with surrounding land issues, theater's public safety, and will negatively impact property values and traffic concerns in the Bennett Creek corridor. For these reasons, we have five areas of concerns. Number one is traffic and congestion. I understood what the gentleman spoke about, that they did a traffic concern. Living there, and from what he described, I don't see how it's going to be feasible. I understand that they would have to widen the road to make these turning lanes. There's really not that much of a room, that much room on those roads to lighten the load of the traffic. The employee shift changes continued for peak congestion, visitor traffic, and overflow parking into residential streets. Increase in emergency vehicles with siren activity disrupting neighborhood and safety and quality of life. Before approval, a formal traffic impact analysis, which they said they did conduct, so that is a moot point. The second point, incompatibility with zoning and land use. Placing a large-scale healthcare institution directly across and surrounding established homes constitutes commercial encroachment into a low-density residential corridor. This project does not align with the Suffolk's comprehensive plan goals of preserving residential stability and ensuring land use compatibility. Approval would set a dangerous precedent, enabling further non-residential expansion along Bridge Road. Third point, negative impact on home values and community stability. Independent housing market data shows that properties located near rehabilitation or long-term or short-term care facilities experience home value reduction between 15 to 12% due to increased traffic, noise, and institutional presence. This project would create a long-term financial harm to Suffolk families who are invested in the surrounding home areas based on their residential designation. Public safety and security concerns. Now, so there's been question on whether or not this is a temporary facility or a permanent. Whether these are permanent residents or they're going to be transient residents. So we didn't get a clear answer on that. So that is one question I do have. Is this going to be a permanent facility or for transient personnel? That's what brings me to this next one. Other rehabilitation services are important. They offer increase in law enforcement and emergency support. Similar facilities in other cities have experienced patient wanderings, loitering, and solicitation, increased police calls, and disturbance and welfare checks. Better locations options exist. Well, we are not opposed to healthcare development, only poor site selection. Suffolk has commercial corridors and medically zoned areas better equipped for this type of project. Along Route 58, further down south of a bridge road, within commercial zones already supporting healthcare traffic, areas with road infrastructure supporting 24-hour operations. Responsible growth means placing the right projects in the right locations, and we believe that this proposal does not meet that standard. For the commissions, we respectfully request the commission take the following actions. We deny this zoning change and special permit for Bridge Road, require a full-scale traffic impact study, protect residential zoning and integrity and homeowners' equity, encourage relocation to a medically appropriate site in Suffolk. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here would like to speak in opposition to the project? Please give us your name and address.
Good afternoon. I am Kelly Hingler, and I am the executive president of a civic league that has existed here in Suffolk since 1946, and even prior, involved in the negotiations of the James River Bridge system being built through Crittenden in the 1910s and 1920s. So we're not opposed, and I want to thank the applicant for bringing this application because it opens up a whole can of worms. This particular segment of US 17, 3/4 of it is built before the Unified Development Ordinance, meaning it does not have curb, gutter, sidewalks. Most of it is gravitationally drained, including St. Andrew's Church to the one side and the other homeowners on the left-hand side. And I can find no proof that those adjacent and adjoining property owners were provided letters of notification about this hearing today. That's my prima facie argument. We came before council and we said, please, you have not done a nursing home in the city of Suffolk in a while. It's needed. The public hearing for the certificate of need of this was conducted without the community being aware with the state between March and August. We thank SABRE for meeting with our planned development HOAs, but we have residents in the community who do not live in the HOAs. And we love our neighbors, and we've been having meetings with them. So when SABRE did offer a tour of one of its facilities, none of the people who respectfully pay their taxes and do not have stormwater to abate stormwater coming onto their property from such a large project, okay, it will come. This is very riverine, and I invite you to come out. So what is my suggestion? My suggestion is, one, that the actual directly impacted homeowners be given the opportunity to meet with the SABRE group and talk about their stormwater issues onto their property. We've seen it at East Bend Baptist Church out here on 58. We've seen it at the church inside of our community. We've seen Little Bethel Church flooded out up on Everett Road because these are rural areas that were built before the UDO. So in order to say in compliance or consistent with the Suffolk 2045. Let me bring you to this point. We begged, we had a letter promising that under the UDO, the village initiatives that were done so that the city could say that they scanned and looked at the land use of settled areas on corridors. It's not to be special, but they did a Crittenton Eclipse Village initiative, which encompassed our whole peninsula because of the US Route 17 arterial. We are down to 2 lanes on each side. And since 2004, when this planning commission actually denied recommendation to council for the office institutional parcel that this is combining with, because of the significant rooms full of people, okay, that came forward to say, we have no turning there. It doesn't empty onto a secondary road like our Governor's Point that was just approved, onto Crittenton Road. It empties to nowhere. It is clearly 100% smack dab within a few hundred yards of the down to 2 lanes, narrowing back out into 4 lanes traffic coming over that bridge. We're the first ones to rally for the second side of those bridges. We have not come forward in complaint to you or pushback to you on much at all. But we have not had stormwater looked at, so we are therefore not consistent with any comp plan as far as that peninsula is. We have not had our water supply, our wastewater supply, parks, any institutional needs of our tax dollars returned to us other than 20 years ago. By your good works, there was a lot of conversation about aligning the Crittenton Road intersection. That is the only tax dollars that come back. We have critical needs in the rest of the city for the things that I've mentioned. So why put out our hand when those things are built and they're sustainable as they are? However, if this developer had come forward, like even the good gentleman who built the James River Bridge system, meeting with the community, any of the other developments that have been built, and they have been built out, okay, to say, what is the stormwater, what is the water, what is your traffic needs, can we work with you? In the 20 years since this developer asked for the office institutional conditional rezoning on the original parcel next to this farm, 20 years, not a word. And so I thank them for opening this application. I am a physician assistant. I know the nursing needs and the aging needs and the long-term care needs that we have in our state. So I welcome people to come forward. I do. But at the end of the day, I ask you to please look at the application in its existing state and the status of the parcels around it, which was all built before the UDO. And what can we do to work better? To that point, if it has to be a request for denial so that we can have more discussion, I would rather that it be continued in discussion with the developer so they can meet with the people who know the drainage, the gravitational wastewater, the water issues and the traffic issues in the community, and see if together we can't come forward with an application that looks like it's feasible, because at this time, it is not. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ayler. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in opposition to this project? Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Appears we have none, so we will move on to rebuttal. Any rebuttal comments?
Yes, thank you for those comments. Opportunity to address some of those. So traffic is clearly a hot topic. So a couple more pieces of information there. A formal traffic impact assessment was conducted as part of this rezoning application, and the city did approve it. So that has been conducted. I'd mentioned previously that there is an estimate of increased traffic of less than 2% and less than an extra second of delayed intersections. During peak hours, the estimated vehicles per day is about approximately 40. That includes coming and going from the facility. Shift changes will not be abrupt. Anyone familiar with healthcare facilities knows there's a staggered exit and entrance from shifts. You know, there's reports that have to be done, et cetera. So it will not be everyone at once coming and going from that facility. And as was already mentioned, the residents themselves are not driving, so that will not be a concern here. Also, just wanted to reinforce that this site is within the designated commercial corridor, which does make this a more appropriate use than rural residential for this location. Related to stormwater, we're aware of the stormwater management challenges of this area. We've done some preliminary engineering related to stormwater management and grading and are confident we can come to a solution that works for the property and does not impact existing property owners. We are aware that there might be some additional expense on Saber's behalf to deal with that appropriately. It's been planned for and will be accommodated. This development, stormwater management, will have to comply with the current set of ordinances. So the fact that the existing community was built pre the existing UDO does not really affect the ability of this site to comply with the current ordinances. There's also a comment about wastewater challenges, gravity drainage, and that is a constraint of this site, which we have prepared for. The existing sewer main does not extend, that's operated by the city, does not extend all the way to this property. So there are several options to deal with that, whether it's a pump station, lifting it up further along Bridge Road to reach the Suffolk sewer main. There's also been discussions had directly with HRSD about connecting to their sewer main in front of the property. There are options available to adequately address those concerns. Let's see. And also, I just want to make sure that it's known that this current land use, the Saber Healthcare Group, this is not the same developer who had proposed this 20 years ago. This is a different ownership, different group. So we are not one and the same. So I think, in summary, we've considered a lot of the site constraints, we've considered the traffic impacts, the stormwater concerns, and are confident that it can be managed appropriately in accordance with the current UDO. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a few minutes left. Anyone that would like to offer any rebuttal? I see none, so we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, questions, comments, or motion is in order. Commissioners, the floor is yours.
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe that Suffolk already has a Saber managed facility which goes under the name of Autumn Care. Am I right or wrong or what? Am I right? Correct. Okay. Some of us have had opportunities to go into Southern Care, Autumn Care, excuse me. I want to tell you, many years ago, I was in Suffolk. My bank participated in the opening of Autumn Care. It was in an area where there was not built up at all. This is in the 70s. And I would anticipate that this particular nursing home, proposed nursing home, would probably feel the same way, because there is little or no development other than residential development in and around that piece of property. I feel like Suffolk does not have a nursing facility, rehab facility, or anything like that. And I don't know whether that's been addressed. There was a question about that, about the nursing home. Maybe somebody from the nursing facility can come up and talk about what, is it I guess the question I have is it a rehab facility?
Yeah, it's both. It's permanent resident and transient rehabilitation patient.
Okay, you've been working with local hospitals, correct, I would imagine, with that?
Yep.
Okay, that was the question I had. Thank you very much.
Okay, commissioners, any additional questions or comments? Go right ahead.
I'd like to move approval of RZN 2025-007 with any conditions that are.
We have a motion on the floor for approval. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions?
On
discussion.
The one thing that we cannot say without any fear of contradiction is that we don't need nursing facilities in this city. over the last few years, I have had to actively seek out nursing facilities, rehab facilities, and residential facilities because I've had older aunts and uncles and even my parents. The hardest thing to find in Suffolk is a place to put somebody for rehab. If they're not going to Nansman Point, it's very, very rare. They very much might not go anywhere because everybody is full. The area is in a great area. I mean, it's out of the way. The way they're going to fix the facility, do the facility, the design of the facility is all in keeping with the area. I don't know. I don't know what it is you guys want out there because you don't seem to want anything. But we got to put something in your area, in your neighborhood is what you guys need to understand. And I'm done. That's my soapbox.
Commissioners, any other discussion?
I guess comment and then question for clarification. Comment, we have a nursing home or nursing facility right outside of my neighborhood. Traffic, I don't even honestly think about it. Again, I know it's probably apples and oranges, but I'm just saying, I don't think about it, even though it's one way in and way out. And then also home values. The home values continue to go up in our neighborhood. Again, I'm just speaking from my own experience. So those 2 points, I don't know how I can really agree with that. The second opponent, I was a little thrown off by some of the things that were brought up. So Kevin, I'm going to ask for your clarification. I'm guessing what I heard from the second opponent was not that there's some uncertainty about whether or not the ground level can handle the, I'm sorry, it was just a whole lot. The infrastructure for the sewage, is that what I was hearing was the main thing? I'm sorry, I got kind of. Like it was before the UDO.
Yeah,
could
so
you clarify that for me?
A good portion, I think what was trying to be articulated, a good portion of the Crittenden Eclipse area, Eclipse primarily itself, predates the UDO. It was adopted in 1999, and that is when a great deal of our development standards were created for the first time. So when new communities come in today, new major subdivisions, curb gutter, sidewalk, the fact that they have to be connected to our water and sewer system, all of those things are taken into consideration before the development can be approved. But in this case, there's a lot of older dated infrastructure, primarily in Eclipse, narrower roads, things like that, just because of when it was developed.
Any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor for approval. Will our voting machine work, or do we need to do this by calling the roll? All right, we'll call for the vote. Mr. Wine?
Commissioners, please vote. Mr. Chairman, the motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
This item's been approved and will go to City Council on November the 19th with our recommendation for approval. Moving on. I've got to go back and find my original sheet here. Hold on one second. Got too many papers here. This is under old business. We have a item. It's not a public hearing. Go ahead. Okay, good. Okay. We've had a request for a recess for 5 minutes. So all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. We'll rejoin in 5 minutes. Thank you. Commissioners, if I can get you to take your seats, please. That wasn't any politics being discussed, was it? Okay, if everyone will take their seats, we will go back in order. Old business. This is not a public hearing. We had the public hearing. We closed it last month. We did delay it to today's meeting, so it was tabled. And this is rezoning request RZN 2025-00004, conditional river bend. Mr. Wine.
Yes, sir. I will read over the caption just to remind the public which application this is, and then Gonzalo Borge, the planner, will provide an overview on the project again. Rezoning request RZN 2025-004, conditional Riverbend 1700 and 1802 North Main Street, submitted by Adam Edbauer, applicant on behalf of the Commonwealth of Virginia and the Economic Development Authority of the City of Suffolk property owners, in accordance with sections 31304 and 31305 of the Unified Development Ordinance, to rezone and amend the official zoning map of the City of Suffolk to change the zoning from B2 General Commercial Zoning District to RU18 Residential Urban 18 Conditional Zoning District, to add conditions for a parcel zoned MUD, Mixed-Use Development Overlay District, and to apply conditions to a portion of property zoned B2 General Commercial Zoning District for property located at 1700 and 1802 North Main Street, zoning map 25, parcels 45A and 45E, and zoning map 26E, parcel F*G*PT*J. The affected area is further identified as being located in the Suffolk voting borough zone B2 General Commercial Zoning District, Mixed Use Development Overlay District, and SCOD Special Corridor Overlay District. The 2045 Comprehensive Plan designates this area as part of the Central Growth Area multifamily neighborhood and commercial corridor land use type. When you act on this request, you'll be acting on a resolution to present a report and a recommendation to City Council relating to rezoning request RZN 2025-004, conditional. Once again, the staff planner, Gonzalo Borge, will present staff's overview of this item.
Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Planning Commissioners. I am here again to guide you through this application. I'll be as brief as I can without losing some of the key content. This rezoning request before you today is to rezone and amend the official zoning map of the City of Suffolk to change the zoning from B2 General Commercial Zoning District to RU18 Residential Urban 18 Conditional Zoning District. It is also to amend the conditions for a parcel zone MUD Mixed Use Development Overlay District and to apply conditions to a portion of the property zone B2 General Commercial Zoning District for a property located at 1700 and 1802 North Main Street, zoning map 25, parcels 45A and 45E, and zoning map 26E, parcel F*G*PT*J. The subject area is identified as being located in the Suffolk voting borough, Zone B2, General Commercial Zoning District, Mixed Use Development Overlay District, and SCOD, Special Corridor Overlay District Zoning District. The 2045 Comprehensive Plan designates this area as part of the Central Growth Area, multifamily neighborhood, and commercial corridor land use types. The subject properties have the following adjacent land uses: at north, the Obici Meridian Apartments, a grocery store, and various commercial uses, Zone MUD, Mixed Use Development Overlay District, as well as wetlands zoned residential low zoning district. To the south, there is the Barden 4 car dealership, restaurants, and other commercial uses, Zone B2, General Commercial District. At east, there is the Nansemond River and single-family detached dwelling units, Zone RLM, Residential Low Medium District. And finally, to the west, there are single-family detached units, restaurants, offices, and commercial business, Zone B2, General Commercial District, and single-family detached dwellings, Zone RLM, Residential Low Medium District. The applicant is proposing to conditionally rezone 72.2 acres of the subject properties from B2, General Commercial Zoning District, to RU18, Residential Urban 18, Conditional Zoning District. Some sections at the south and northeast of the subject properties, tax map 25*45A and 26E*F*G*PT*J, are to remain as B2 General Commercial District. Tax map 25*45E at the southwest corner of the property will remain Zone MUD, mixed-use development. This parcel, as proposed, would allow for a 1.3 acre public park and to serve as a secondary access road for the Meridian Beach Society, as well as for the proposed RU18 residential neighborhood. The proposed development includes a maximum of 497 residential units. From these 497 units, 168 are age-restricted and therefore limited to residents age 55 or older. 329 units are single-family attached units, also referred as townhomes. These townhomes can be broken down into 204-story back-to-back units, 75 three-story front-load units, and 54 three-story front-load units. The proposed development envisioned to consist of 497 residential units, as said before, as well as multiple office buildings and high turnover restaurants use, is expected to generate 5,257 daily vehicular trips, with 415 of those trips occurring during the morning peak hour and 535 occurring in the evening peak hour. With this being said, it is important to highlight that the site currently consists of 89 acres that are Zone B2, General Commercial. As a matter of right, the B2 district allows for a large variety of high turnover retail, such as restaurants, service, and office uses that generically generate high rate of vehicular traffic. Based on the development acreage and its location along North Main Street commercial corridor, the site could reasonably be developed as retail shopping center consisting of 376,000 square feet. A use of this nature would potentially generate 15,861 daily vehicular trips, or 10,604 more trips than what is currently being proposed. The applicant has proffered 5 conditions in support of this request. The first proffer limits the development to 497 residential units to be constructed within the RU18 zone portion of the property. The proffer also states that 168 units will be age-restricted and limited to residents 55 or older, and the 329 that are left will be single-family attached townhomes. The second proffer commits the applicant to develop the property in substantial conformance with the architectural elevations that were provided with the application. The third proffer requires the applicant to make road improvements as outlined in the traffic impact assessment. The fourth proffer binds the applicant to convey the existing historic office building and the surrounding area of 2.3 acres of property to the city within 30 days of subdivision plat approval. This will be done in lieu of school proffers. Or school cash contributions. We commonly call it school proffers in the office. The fifth proffer pledges the applicant and the Economic Development Authority to complete a maintenance agreement for the common open space for the 6.6 acres of the B2 zone property adjacent to North Main Street. With you, the elevations, I will just skip through those since we have looked at these before. And here the recommendation. In sum, staff finds this proposal, rezoning request 2025-004, conditional, meets the intent and provisions of the 2045 Comprehensive Plan, as well as the Unified Development Ordinance. The proposed rezoning from B2 General Commercial District to RU18 Residential Urban 18 Conditional Zoning District aligns with the goals and objectives of the 2045 Comprehensive Plan, which encourages increased density, balance between residential and non-residential uses, and mixed-use districts constituting a variety of land uses for the subject property and its vicinity. The applicant is also pledging to directly mitigate for expected traffic impacts, as well as mitigate for school impacts by conveying the historic office building. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request RZN 2025-004. This concludes my brief presentation. I will stand by for any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, at this time, we'll call for questions or comments. I'm going to preempt you since you shut me down by calling for the vote before I got a chance to say anything at last meeting. I'm going to just preempt you guys and not give you the chance to shut me up. With that, on Riverbend, there's a lots of moving parts on this one. We received a whole bunch of comments, and to the citizens, we do read the comments and take that as a part of everything. We did table this last month primarily because we did not know what the school board's position on the remodeling of the existing buildings for a new school board office. Kevin, would you mind summarize the position that we have heard, I think, from the school board on?
Of course. Earlier this month, the school board asked the city to include the city manager, myself, our deputy city manager, Gary Jones as well, to go before them and provide some additional information as it relates to this request, its impact on the school system, particularly the schools directly impacted, and the amount of students that could potentially be generated using our UDO generation rate as it relates to the overall proposal of 497 units. That evening, the school board considered 3 separate resolutions on the item. One that would have supported the request and ultimately what the developer has proffered in lieu of cash contributions toward the school system. The second, one that we just couldn't be entertained because it was illegal and contained several conditions of their support for the same building that would have essentially placed proffers or placed restrictions on the developer as it relates to certain aspects of the development, particularly phasing. In this Commonwealth of Virginia, proffers are voluntary as it relates to development, and we, as the city, or they as the school board, are not in a position to negotiate those with the developer directly. You cannot ask the developer to proffer anything. The last resolution that was ultimately passed was a resolution to not support the request as presented.
Kevin, I think you also said there was also something that they had placed in the for the upcoming.
Yep. As it relates to the CIP. So departmental CIP, capital improvement plan requests were due at the end of September. So at their second meeting in September, the school board submitted their priorities for the upcoming year. The top 3 priorities included Elephants Fork Elementary, a replacement school for Elephants Fork Elementary. The second was an expansion at Nansman River High School, and the third was the school board administration building in question.
Okay, thank you. One of my big concerns was, obviously is, and was supported by the citizen comments, was for traffic on North Main Street. At present, the property is zone B2, and you know, sometimes when you dig into these, you find all kinds of things out. But by right, the developer could possibly put up to 800 units, not the 500 that's being proposed to us, but by right, it's my understanding they could put up to 800 units on the site without gifting the office building to the city. They wouldn't have to provide senior housing under this zoning as well. They don't have to provide a marina and restaurant under that current zoning. So if developed as a total commercial site, we're looking at probably substantially higher traffic than with the proposal we're viewing. So with that being said, Kevin, Can we put up the, I think it was the rezoning exhibit? Can we get, it's the one, keep going, yeah, right there. In this particular one, took a look at it. If you look at the pink areas, if you look at the one up at the top right, that's the area that they've designated for a marina, restaurant, whatever. But there, you know, either way they go, if they develop this property under the existing zoning, there's no guarantee that any of that area that is being looked at for a marina, that's one of the things that the citizens asked for in their letters, and some public access to some property on the river, they don't have to do that. In fact, they don't have to do it on either way. If we approve this, there's no guarantee, I believe that's correct, on them having to put the marina or restaurant on that top parcel. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Obviously, that's something that our citizens want, but, and I thought it ought to be at least pointed out to everybody that there's no guarantee that some of these things are going to take place. We're going to vote on it today and either vote for the approval as they presented it, or denial, or we'll tie on it and send it with no recommendation to council, who we have a few here today that are observing our actions. So just wanted to add some additional information from what we heard so that we'll know exactly where we are on this. So at this point, I'd say any additional comments or questions by any of the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make a comment. I was the bad guy. I was the one that made the motion last month to table this. And the reason that it was done was because there was a question about the old VDOT administration building being transferred to the developer, or to the city, so that it could be developed into the school board offices. But we were waiting to hear from the results of the school board meeting, which has taken place, which we just discussed. Since that has been done, we know what the position of the school board is regarding that, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the rezoning of the property. So I guess my recommendation or my motion would be to approve as presented this, what is it, RZN 2025-0004.
With conditions.
With conditions, and there are a number of conditions.
So we have a motion. Are there any other discussion on this? We need a second, right. Is there anyone interested in
I
seconding?
will support it just to get the discussion in. I'll support
Do we
your
have a
motion.
second? We need a second.
Support is second. I'm second.
You making the second? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Now, would anybody like to make any comments or ask any questions?
I do.
I have a clarification. I need a clarification first. We don't need to remove the motion from the, we don't need to remove it from the table? Is it automatically from the table as of when we came in the door today?
So although it was phrased as table, it was really a motion to postpone because it had a specific date. So it is back on the table now.
Okay, so the motion is in order. Okay, then I do have one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm such a simple person. Really, I am a simple person.
Are you going to break into song?
I'm just going to break it down. I'm going to break it down like a fraction. The school board, whose responsibility it is, you know, the growth and direction of the schools, the school students, had 3 priorities. One of those was Elephant Forks Elementary School. The second was the expansion of Nansemond River High School. And the third was the admin building. Simple person, me the simple person, with the $22 million that we're going to get, it would appear to me that that would be the money that we need to take care of items 1, 2, and 3 on their list. That's my first piece of simplicity in my mind. My second piece of simplicity is I do not understand, and nor will I ever understand, why we wait on the school board to come to talk to us in a public meeting. We had a public hearing. We keep having public hearings. These are public people. They are citizens and a part of a public entity. So I hope that we will never again request a comment from the school board, who still hasn't given us a comment. They still haven't given us a comment. So I hope that we will never do that again. If they cared to talk about the situation, they should have come to our spot, to our forum where they could have the discussion. We should not be begging people for input for a public comment about a public piece. It just doesn't. I'm simple. That's simple to me.
Is that all? Anyone else have any?
Yes, Commissioner, I do. Thank you, Commissioner Hicks, for those remarks. I just want to say to the school board, thank you for your vote. Thank you for your remarks. And not for us, but I think for the citizens, they heard your concerns. So do not think that I did not take that lightly of your vote and your voice. But I do have to agree with Commissioner Hicks. I hope we never, ever have to go through that again. All right, that's it. Thank you.
If we ever have another one that looks like this one, I'm going to just step down. Too many moving parts. All right, any other commissioners have comments?
I have a comment. I'll keep it short because my son has a soccer game. Priorities.
First things first.
You know, I was pretty clear when I met with a developer. I have issues on density. The traffic on, not to be a broken record on traffic, but Main Street, I travel. I try not to speak on things that I don't experience, but I'm up and down Main Street constantly because it's back and forth to work, back and forth to my kids' school. It's a ton of houses. I mean, it's a ton. It's a lot. And I get it, it's a big parcel, but it comes out to a place that's already got a lot going on. That being said, what the chairman has said, if it's a way to prevent 800 by right, I mean, it's going to be developed, and it needs to be something I would have, it's not about me, but would love a park, another park. I know we have a lot of parks, but I would love to see something less dense, but if it is going to keep from allowing by right more than, well, not quite double, it seems to make sense.
Commissioners? Any other comments? Looking down to the left, to the right? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman, the motion is approved by a vote of 7-1.
Okay, as you can see, the motion is passed, and it will go to City Council on 11/19/25 with our recommendation for approval. Okay? Thanks for everybody's input on that. We now will be moving on to new business. Staff report, significant land use items. And Kevin, if you would you start off, since there have been some questions in dealing with what qualifies as a significant land item? I think I tried to explain it at the council meeting to someone that was there the other night, but not on council, but one of the visitors. And would you just identify exactly what constitutes a significant land use item?
Of course. So we adopted a policy about 2 years ago now. It's a citywide policy as it relates to land use items. It was with some feedback that we received from City Council as it relates to the amount of time that they get to spend with some of the land use items. So we adopted this policy. It's not codified, but it is a policy that allows us to kind of pump the brakes on some of the larger rezoning requests and conditional use permit applications that we receive based on the magnitude of those requests. We call it our hundreds rule, and the way we define that is for developments, residential developments that exceed 100 units or more would qualify as a significant land use item. For developments in general that are on 100 acres or more of property, we would consider that a significant land use item. And lastly, for commercial projects that consist of greater than 100,000 square feet or more would classify as a significant land use item.
Very good, thank you. Now moving on, significant land use items.
Yes, sir. We have 2 of those to present for you this month, and we're going to mix it up and let the staff planners who are handling these items provide you with an overview as it relates to these cases. But the first is rezoning request RZN 2024-017, conditional. This is Pruden Lake Prince. The request is to rezone and amend the official zoning map of the city of Suffolk in order to change the zoning from RE, Rural Estate Zoning District, to RM, Residential Medium Density Conditional Zoning District, and a B2, General Commercial Conditional Zoning District for properties located at 3840 Pruden Boulevard and Lake Prince Drive, zoning map 24, parcels 5 and 6. Once again, staff planner Brittany Collier will provide you with an overview on this significant land use item.
Thank you. As stated, this is a brief summary regarding a request to rezone properties located along Lake Prince Drive and Pruden Boulevard. The properties are located within the central growth area and are designated as commercial corridor and traditional neighborhood land use type. There was a mix-up in the summary included in the agenda package supplied to the commission prior to this meeting. You all have been provided with the revised version, but for clarification, the applicant is requesting the area that is to be rezoned for residential. That is being requested to be rezoned to RM, residential medium, rather than RLM, residential low medium density zoning district. So as I'm going over the information, just keep that in mind. Staff will ensure that the corrected information is provided in advance of November's Planning Commission meeting. The subject parcels are currently zoned RE, residential estate. To the north are single-family detached homes, fields, and forested lands zoned RE. To the east are single-family dwellings zoned RE. The Kings Green subdivision consisting of single-family detached homes zoned RL, residential low-density zoning district, and commercial retail businesses zoned B2, general commercial zoning district. To the south are single-family detached homes, fields, and forested land zoned RE, residential estate, and RLM, residential low-medium density zoning district. And to the west are single-family detached homes, fields, and forested land zoned RE, residential estate, and RLM, residential low-medium density zoning district. The subject parcels are approximately 79 acres in size. The applicant proposes that 65.7 acres of the site is to be rezoned to RM conditional, residential medium density zoning district, to allow for a maximum of 147 single-family detached dwelling units for a gross density of roughly 2.8 dwelling units per acre. Additionally, 13.5 acres located along the corner of Lake Prince Drive and Pruden Boulevard is to be rezoned to B2 conditional, general commercial zoning district. As previously stated, the portion to be rezoned to RM conditional will contain no more than 147 single-family dwelling units as proposed and proffered by the applicant. The area is designated as traditional neighborhood land use type per the 2045 comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan suggests a target density of 4 to 10 dwelling units per acre. Therefore, the proposed density of 2.8 dwelling units per acre would fall short of the recommended density outlined for this land use type. The RM zoning district allows for a maximum of 4.4 dwelling units per acre. Therefore, the anticipated density aligns with the proposed zoning district. Additionally, the RM zoning district is listed as an applicable zoning district within the 2045 comprehensive plan. Additionally, the area to be rezoned to B2 conditional is designated as commercial corridor and traditional land use type per the 2045 comprehensive plan. The applicant has not proffered specific uses to be established as a part of this application. However, as a part of this request, the applicant has proffered out some of the more intensive uses that could be established by right or with a conditional use permit within the B2 zoning district. The proposed development will feed into Kings Fork High School, Kings Fork Middle School, and Elephants Fork Elementary. At the time of the application, there is sufficient capacity at the middle school level and deficiency at the high school and elementary school levels. The application, as proposed, is anticipated to generate 20 high school students, 15 middle school students, and 27 elementary school students. After considering any student generation from a by right development under the current zoning district, the applicant would need to demonstrate mitigation for impacts for the generation of 17 high school students and 23 elementary school students. The applicant has voluntarily proffered three proffers in support of this application, which are shown in detail on this application. Four proffers. Proffer 1 speaks to the limit of the development to no more than 147 single-family units. Proffer 2 speaks to the mitigation for school impacts. The developer has voluntarily proffered that $1,000 per home constructed on the site shall be paid to Suffolk Public Schools prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. Section 31-601 of the Unified Development Ordinance outlines the requirement to address adequate public facilities for any application that is presented for consideration. As proposed and written, proffer statement number 2 fails to address adequate public facilities as it relates to the advancement for capacity for schools. In total, the applicant is proposing $147,000 total cash contribution, which falls significantly short of the approximately $1,700,000 required to adequately advance capacity for the public schools impacted by the proposed development. Section 31-601 outlines the generation rates and calculations to determine what the total mitigation would be, and staff has provided those calculations to the applicant as a part of the review of this request. Proffer 3 speaks to road improvements as outlined in the submitted traffic impact analysis. Staff has reviewed the traffic impact analysis for compliance with the Unified Development Ordinance. The submitted traffic impact analysis has not been approved by staff and cannot be approved by staff in its current form, as it fails to address certain road improvements required by the Unified Development Ordinance. Lastly, Proffer 4 outlines the uses that will be prohibited within the B2 commercial area. This concludes my summary, and it'll be before you next month.
All right, the second.
Kevin, before you move, can I just ask you for a clarification on one of the proffers? It said that they were going to pay it to the Suffolk Public Schools. Is that correct? Is that how it should read, or it should read to the city of Suffolk? I would think
That has since been updated.
Okay,
That was
all
one
right,
of our
good,
initial
good.
comments.
I just noticed that. I was thinking I didn't think it went directly. Good, thank
Yep.
you. Sorry,
All
for
right.
interrupting.
So the second significant land use item that we are going to provide you with an overview of today is rezoning request RZN 2025-001 conditional Lakeside Reserve. This is to rezone and amend the official zoning map of the city of Suffolk in order to change the zoning from RE, Rural Estate Zoning District, to RU, Residential Urban Zoning District, for property located at 601 Murphy's Mill Road, zoning map 25, parcel 71. Once again, staff planner Gonzalo Borges will provide you with a brief overview of this project.
Thank you again, Kevin. Good afternoon again, Mr. Chairman and Planning Commissioners. I'm here to introduce RZN 2025-001, Lakeside Reserve, as a significant land use item, and to summarize the main points of this application. The proposed rezoning request is to rezone the official zoning map of the city of Suffolk from RE Residential Estate Zoning District to RU Residential Urban Zoning District conditional on a property located at 601 Murphy's Mill Road, zoning map 25, parcel 71. The city's 2045 comprehensive plan designates this area as part of the central growth area, and the subject property is located within the traditional neighborhood land use type. The subject property has the following land uses in zoning. To the north, single-family detached units, Zone RR, Rural Residential Zoning District, and multifamily units known as Halstead Reserve, Zone RU12, Residential Urban 12. To the south, single-family detached units, Zone RE, Residential Estate Zoning District, and Lake Mead, property of the City of Portsmouth, Zone C, Conservation Zoning District. To the east, vacant land, Zone RE, Residential Estate Zoning District, and finally to the west, single-family detached units, Zoned RE, Residential Estate Zoning District. The rezoning exhibit, here in the screen, outlines the area to be rezoned from that's the rezoning exhibit, outlines the area to be rezoned from RE, Residential Estate Zoning District, to RU, Residential Urban Zoning District Conditional. The applicant proposes to conditionally rezone 30.4 acres of the subject property from RE, Residential Estate Zoning District, to RU, Residential Urban Conditional Zoning District. The property is located along Murphy's Mill Road on the northern shores of Lake Mead and currently sits vacant. The applicant is proposing to develop 134 residential condo units. 46 will be front-loaded townhomes, 78 will be single-family rear-loaded detached units, and 10 will be single-family front-loaded detached units. This would yield a density of 4.8 units per acre, which is within the maximum permitted of 10.9 units per acre in the residential urban zoning district. The proposed conceptual plan includes the preservation of CBPA-regulated wetlands and other vegetation throughout the property, provides screening from public right-of-way, and screening to adjacent properties. The proposed development also features a trail system, green spaces, and a stormwater management system. The applicant is pledging the following: develop no more than 134 single-family attached or single-family detached dwelling units in substantial conformance with this conceptual plan. Make cash contributions to the City of Suffolk to advance capacity at the elementary and high school levels. For the elementary school level, the total contribution is $825,712. And for the high school level, the total contribution is $950,433. The applicant also pledged to develop in conformance with the elevations provided in this application. I'll show those in the next slide. And also pledges to make road improvements as outlined in the recommendations section in the approved traffic impact analysis submitted with this application. Here you have the elevations that are being proffered. In this first slide, you see the single-family detached front-loaded units. On these slides, you can see the single-family detached rear-loaded units. And to the left, you have the single-family detached elevations, and to the right, looks more or less obvious, those are the townhomes that are being proffered. In summary, the applicant proposes to conditionally rezone 30.4 acres of the subject property from RE, Residential Estate Zoning District, to RU, Residential Urban Conditional Zoning District. The proposed proffers allow for a maximum of 134 family attached and single-family detached dwelling units, yielding a net density of 4.8 units per acre. This concludes my presentation. I will stand by if you have any questions, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I can ask Kevin this. Didn't you mention earlier that this is like condos versus single-family? I guess single-family, but maybe a little additional on that.
Yeah, so this would not be a major subdivision as identified by the Unified Development Ordinance, because they do not plan on subdividing the property. The form of ownership will be, instead of fee simple, a condo form of ownership, meaning that the infrastructure that is constructed on site, it's going to be private streets, things of that nature, so they're not subjected to the major subdivision requirements as outlined in the UDO.
Thank you for that. Okay, moving on. Anyone have any questions on that at this time? If not, moving on. Last month, we put on the agenda amending the bylaws to add that to our agenda the I'm not going to say the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So we would need, I believe you've got some information on that was in the package, right? Yes, sir. The amended was included in the package showing the bylaws. And I'd suggest each and every one of you read those because that's what governs what we do here, if I followed the instructions correctly. So we need a motion in order to approve the bylaw changes. We have a motion on the floor to amend the bylaws as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions or comments? If not, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioners, please vote. Mr. Chairman, the motion is approved by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, and we have one commissioner that had to leave early. With that, we're moving on to the status report, City Council meeting September 17th, 2025. Kevin?
Yes, sir. There was one item that went before the City Council at their September 17th, 2025 meeting. It was conditional use permit, request CUP 2025-006. This was for 4236 River Cliff Crescent. That was a conditional use permit to establish an accessory dwelling unit detached on property located there at River Cliff Crescent East, zoning map 19G to parcel 34. Ultimately, this was approved with the staff recommended conditions, and that was the only item.
Thank you very much. Moving on along, any preliminary plats?
No, sir.
No. Okay. The ordinance committee did meet today prior to our meeting, and is there any sort of motion that may be needed to add an item to our agenda for the November meeting?
Next month, we hope to be discussing mixed use and planned development, so I'd like a proper motion that we put that on the agenda for next month.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. Any questions, comments? If not, let's take a vote. All in favor? Can we do this by voice? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We've moved down to the commissioner's comments, so I'm gonna preempt you once again. I just don't think y'all gonna give me a chance to talk, so I'm taking it. You were handed out prior to the meeting. Katina was nice enough to provide not only a copy in your packet, but also a hard copy of the City of Suffolk Residential Pipeline Development. Particularly for those of you that are new to this, that haven't seen this, it's a ton of information on here. I think I asked for it at my first meeting when I came on the commission 10 years ago. Because I was stepping into something and not knowing what had already been approved, so how many units were on the books that were available. This is a great report, and I'd suggest you look at it. It'll give you a kind of an update on past history of where we've done and what we've done in the past. So, Katina and Kevin, thank you for that. With that, I will say nothing more other than adjourn later. Anyone like to have any go ahead.
There's one item, but we always want to make sure we introduce new staff members to you all.
Okay.
So with that being said, I wanted to take a moment, very excited to introduce to you all Caitlin Abbott. She's our new land use planning manager. That's a new position for our department. And you will see a lot of her and her team moving forward, as she'll primarily be working with these applications that come before you all.
We welcome you. I should say that I probably am remiss in not noticing that our vice mayor visited with us today, and he's sitting there in the audience. I'm not going to ask you to say anything because we want to go home. And Commissioner Rector, who always sits in and then reports on the job we've done to his fellow city council members. And Shelley Barlow was here earlier, but she slipped out because she knew I was going to say something about her. So we thank you guys for coming, and we appreciate the job you guys do. Y'all make the hard decisions, I say. We just send you some recommendations. With that, any other commissioner have anything they'd like to say? Now's your time.
Just one statement from the other evening, I went to the Geneva Shelter Gala, and I heard something that was and disheartening. There are absolutely no spaces for domestic violence in the state. I thought that was, I was so shocked. There's not one bed. So my message to folks is be kind.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Any other comments?
Yes, Chairman. I just want to say a couple things. I mean, this is a tough job up here. It is. And I just want to say thank you to the citizens who submit their comments to us. It's a lot to read, and I appreciate the feedback. It's a delicate balancing act, especially with the large-scale developments and the by rights that we don't see up here that's going on around the city. You know, I welcome the growth, but I also believe in keeping lockstep with the CIP and being in tune with the needs of the city. We won't always agree, but we can continue to put forth the effort for responsible growth. And with that, I say good night.
Thank you very much. Looking over to my right. Anyone have any comments? Ms. Goodwin? Nothing there? Johnny, come on, don't let me down. All right, it looks like we finished all of our items on the agenda. Thank you so much for attending. Thanks to all the citizens that came today and attended as well, and we stand adjourned.